Hello everyone, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, and I decided to make a couple of tea themed cards that were very much inspired by this pack of pattern paper that I had got not too long ago. People always ask me what I do with all the pattern paper I get, and most of the time I hoard it and let it inspire me. And this was one of them. The minute I got it, I was actually inspired to make a card like this. A couple of the patterns in the pack, I was like, oh, that would look so good with Honeybee's Tea Time stamp set. So I actually pulled it out though and decided to use it with my card. So I have some Bristol Smooth cardstock here, and I have it in my stamp platform. And then I just laid out several of the stamps from the Tea Time stamp set onto it, and I'm inking them up with VersaFine ONYX black ink. I'm going to stamp these a couple of times just to make sure I want it like really black, really crisp. I could leave it like this. You don't need to heat emboss this, but I really like the look of using the clear embossing powder to get that raised glossy edge. Plus it makes things easier when you do go to watercolor. You don't have to worry about areas drying, having to dry or anything like that. It makes things quicker and easier. So I coated everything with Nuvo's clear embossing powder. And then I'm going to melt this with my heat tool. And then because I had everything laid out on my platform, I'm going to do everything twice. Because I was like, I might as well make a couple of cards while I'm at it. So I'm going to do everything twice. And the open areas that were left on these pieces, I'm going to fill those with more of the little lemons and the leaves and the little hearts. Because I thought, why not? I can do a little cluster of them. So I just keep doing the process of using my anti-static powder tool, inking up the stamp, and stamp it a couple times with that VersaFine ONYX black, coating it with the clear embossing powder, and then melting it with my heat tool until I have both of these little panels here full of all of these images. So once that's all done, I'm going to use my Arteza real brush pens to color these in. I've been experimenting with these pens for a bit now, and I think every single time I've used it with just the Arteza watercolor paper, but this time I thought I wanted to see how they would look on Bristol with my water brush. Oh, and before I got to that, I also used the Lotus Blossom stamp. Again, I was completely inspired. There's a specific paper in that pack that has clusters of like lotus blossoms and lemons and whatnot. And I was like, oh, Honeybee has the perfect stamp for that. So I stamped it multiple times on another piece of Bristol Smooth and heat embossed that. Then I pulled out the Arteza real brush pens here, and I kept the coloring very simple. I didn't really do any blending of colors. I would just take a marker, scribble on a bit of color, pull it out with my water brush. So really simple and easy. And because I'm doing like multiple images, I just do the same images with the same color. And I kind of keep the marker to like one area at a time. Like I don't do the entire image because I find regardless of what I'm using, more often than not, if I'm using any sort of marker, if I let it dry too much, it's harder to pull that color out and you end up with lines and whatnot. So that's why I like to do like one little area at a time, pull out the color with my water brush, and then add more color with my marker, etc. You can definitely layer these colors. I've done a bit of that, but more often than not, I just like to just add color and leave it as is. So let the images kind of speak for themselves because they're just cute anyway. So I did colors, again, inspired by the pattern paper since I'm going to use the pattern papers for my card. So I just kind of pulled out markers that were similar. I wasn't paying attention to specifically which one I was using. I know the older Arteza sets of markers, they didn't have labels, like they didn't have names or numbers or anything like that. This is one of their newest sets, this 96 set that I love. They do have numbers and names, but I don't pay attention. I will, however, hopefully down the road start paying more attention, and I can actually start like listing that on the screen like I always do with my Copics, etc. So I just went along though and just would scribble on a little bit of the color and then just pull it out with my this is just my little Tim Holtz water brush that I've been using for years. It's my favorite one. And after I colored in all of these images, I'm going to do the flowers. And with the first flower, I did do a little bit of experimenting, like adding a couple colors of the marker. And that's where I wasn't following my own little rules and applied too much color with the marker, and it dried too much before I could go in and pull the color out. Now it looks like I'm working very quickly here, but this is just the magic of video editing. I've sped this up about 600%. So yeah, I'm not working quite this quickly. I wish I could color this quickly. My life would just, everything would go so much smoother. But yeah, so with this first flower, I applied marker and there was just too much of a time gap and I had a hard time pulling that color out and smoothing it out. So I wasn't happy with it. So with all these other flowers, this is where I just go along and I only add a little bit of color. Pull it out with my water brush, add more with a marker, pull it out with a water brush, and then just keep repeating that process. And I'm always, when I do that, I'm always much more happy with the results and I don't end up with those harsh lines like you do sometimes when that marker's had too much time to sit on the paper. So after I did all of these images, got them all filled with color, made sure they were completely dry, which didn't take very long because I didn't add too much water. I'm going to use the coordinating dies for both the Tea Time set and for this little Lotus Blossom image. And I'm going to die cut everything. So I'm just going to tape all the dies into place with just bits of washi tape and then run them through my Gemini die cutting machine. So it only takes a few passes to get everything completely die cut. And then after I did all of my die cutting, I trimmed down the pattern paper from the packs that I wanted to use. And I just used my paper trimmer for that. So all of my die cutting, I just run everything through at once. So I have all of my, you know, the first cluster of images and one of the Lotus Blossoms die cut. And then I can quickly tape all the dies into place again on the next one and run all those through and then just keep repeating that process until everything's completely die cut and good to go. So after I have all of that die cutting done, I also die cut one of the pattern papers from the kit with one of the A2 double stitched frames wafer dies, which you can't really see in the video because it's like the black pattern paper here, but it does have that nice little stitching edge around it that I love. So I have that as kind of my main little panel, and then I decided to arrange all of these images kind of in a cluster around the little tea mug, and I decided to use the tea mug and saucer, or teacup and saucer on the one card, and then this mug on the other, just to mix it up a little bit, and also do a different orientation on both, just to have fun with it. So I'm going to adhere everything with bits of my Scotch foam tape, and I'm also going to use my Gina Connect glue to adhere everything, popping some stuff up with foam tape, some of it I'm going to adhere just to give it that little bit of extra dimension and whatnot. So after I get everything adhered on my first card, and kind of tuck little, like those little leaves and everything that I'd colored and die cut, just kind of tuck those into place. And I'm going to adhere a couple little hearts above the mug. And I didn't even like really think of this until like just now, like editing the video. This pattern paper was like perfect. It's like little steam tendrils almost. So now I kind of wish I had die cut the other piece the other way. So it was in like, so it looks like the tendrils are going up and down, but again, hindsight. Anyway, adhered everything into place, and then the pattern papers, I cut the lemon paper to be A2 size, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then I added this gorgeous kind of Moroccan stencil type background to that, and I just adhered those together with my Xyron Mega Runner, and then the main panel I popped up with some foam tape. And then I did the exact same thing for the second card, just using the little teacup and saucer, and then clustering all the flowers and the lemons and little leaf clusters, etc. all around it. Purposely leaving the lower left of both of these open because I want to add a die cut sentiment to both of these cards. So after I've got everything adhered and then my background papers glued together and my images popped out with foam tape, I pulled out the Best Parents wafer die set. This is from Honeybee's spring release, and I absolutely love this die set. And there's a coordinating stamp set as well. But I just wanted to use the mom wafer dies from this set, and there's the mom word, the outline, and then the second outline, which Honeybee does with a lot of their dies. And the second outline usually has like piercing details around it, which I really like. It just gives you that extra option. So you can use just the word with one outline, or use all three and just get, you know, extra dimension. So I thought a little bit outside my box rather than doing the sentiment in either black or white on vellum like I always do. I decided to die cut everything from more bright colors. So I die cut the largest outline with just a really bright yellow cardstock. And then my second outline I die cut from white cardstock. And then the word I die cut from a bright pink cardstock. And I'm just using my little sidekick machine here to die cut everything so I can run it all through quickly since I'm doing doubles of everything. So once I've got all of my sentiments die cut, I can start adhering these together, and I just use that connect glue again to adhere the word to the white outline and then the white outline to the yellow. And again, you can see better in the pictures at the end and as well as on the blog, all the little like detail of the like stitching dots and stuff on the yellow outline, which I just love it. It's just fun. So I'm going to adhere all of these together with just really light little dabs of glue. And then once these are both adhered, I'm going to pop both of them onto my card fronts just with bits of foam tape there. So just kind of line everything up, pop those on, and decided to leave it just saying mom. No other sentiments, nothing. You know, this could work for anything, any occasion. You know, you want to just send a card to your mom just 'cause. That's what I was thinking with this. So pop that into place and just kind of, you know, had it as part of this fun little cluster. And then to finish off the inside of the card, I had more, another cup of each image that I'd set aside, as well as one of the hearts. And I'm going to adhere those both to the insides of these cards. And I'm going to use a sentiment from the Perfect Blend stamp set, which is one of my all-time favorite honeybee stamp sets. So before I even get to that, I just adhered both of these card fronts to the card bases, and those card fronts were, like I said, A2, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So they're going to completely cover up the card bases, which are heavyweight white cardstock cut to 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 and scored up 4 1/4. So these are A2 cards. And I'm going to stamp this sentiment from the Perfect Blend set with some bright pink ink. So just You Warm My Heart. So stamp that on the inside, and then I could adhere the little teacup and saucer and the little heart over that and technically finish off the card. But of course I'm going to add a few embellishments just to completely finish it off. And I'm going to just do the exact same thing with the second card, just using the same sentiment, same ink, and then the other little coffee or tea mug image. So adhere that into place, adhere my little heart, and then the insides are done. And then to finish the outsides, I pulled out some Nuvo drops from my stash. I have the new Party Pink and the new Yellowbird glitter, so I had to use those because the colors were perfect for this, as well as, of course, a little bit of gloss white. So I'm just going to squeeze those onto random areas of the card just to kind of finish it off. So I always try and hold my bottle mostly up and down, and then I'll sometimes do a little bit of a swirl motion just to help kind of smooth it out so you don't end up with those peaks. And then another way to eliminate any peaks is once I'm done applying all of these, I like to tap my card against, either just against my desktop, or here I'm going to tap it just against the ink pad, just to help kind of smooth out and flatten. It depends on how strong you want to tap these. You can really like refund and like really tap your card, and it will almost completely flatten out these drops and make them look like enamel dots. So it just kind of depends. You kind of got to experiment with it. It also depends too on how warm your area is where you're, you know, applying these. I find that when it's really, really warm out, these just kind of smooth out nicely on their own. So after I applied all of those, I'm going to set these aside to dry, and that's going to finish off my cards. So as always, I will have links below the video to the blog post and links to all the supplies used, so you can check that out below if you're interested. Thank you all so much for watching and subscribing and thumbs upping and commenting on my videos. I really appreciate it, and I will see you all very soon in the next one. Bye!